the basic economic problem. The existence of scarcity creates the basic economic problem faced by every society, rich or poor. How to make the best use of limited productive resources to satisfy human needs and wants. To solve this basic problem, every society must answer these three basic questions. So, what are the basic questions every economy go through? What to produce, how to produce, whom to produce, right? So, when we say about what to produce, you must say what goods and services will be produced. For example, an economy must decide whether they should produce kitchen appliances or weapons, build and fix roads or buy textbooks for schools. So they should see what will generate them the higher profit. They should be focused when it is a market economy. If it is going to give them the so the society as much as possible, they need to provide a school or some textbooks to people. So based on the market, the what to produce in what quantities will be decided by a basic economic problem. What is a basic economic problem says that in a basic economic problem, there are limited resources. Using the limited resources to satisfy the needs is known as the basic economic problem. With the limited resources, you can't satisfy all the needs and wants. You can satisfy some needs and some wants, but you can't satisfy everything. For that only, you need to make something called choice. When you make choice, you will go through three questions: what to produce in what quantities, how to produce, and whom to produce. When I speak about how to produce, you might see here how will goods and services be produced? For example, should we use copper or plastic to make pipes? Should machines be used to make clothing or should workers make it by hand? Should the power plant be built close to the ocean or inland? Which fertilizer is best for growing strawberries? There are millions of decisions that need to be made to figure out how to produce goods and services. But in your real terms, you need to understand there are two parties involved. I mean, two particular things which is involved in how to produce. One is capital intensive technique, other one is labor intensive technique. What is capital intensive technique? If you can use machines to produce something, we say it as capital intensive technique. But if you can produce something with human forces, we say it as labor intensive techniques. So using labors to produce something is known as labor intensive techniques. Using capital to produce something is known as capital intensive techniques. So that's how it works. But when it comes to market economy, they'll be focused on producing in capital way because they want to reduce the level of they want to reduce the level of labors and they want to increase the level of productivity. They think that if they can use machines, they can increase the level of productivity, and they also think that if they use labors, the work will be slow. But command economy, which is the government economy, always wanted to give job opportunities. Their main motivational factor of economy is to reduce the level of unemployment. So when they want to reduce the level of unemployment, they will try to provide a lot of job opportunities. If they provide a lot of job opportunities, they will use labor intensive techniques. But in a mixed economy, labor intensive and capital intensive both can be seen. And then we move on to the third part: who will consume the goods and services? The third part: once the goods and services are produced, who will get to consume them? Will people consume them on a first come, first served basis? Should goods be allocated or given out by height, weight, religion, age, gender, race, looks, strength, health or wealth? How should the goods and services be distributed among the people? Now, for example, if government is going to build a hospital, first preference is for pregnant mothers, second preference is for elderly people, third is the people who are getting through accidents. So giving the preference in which community, in which area they need to focus is about whom the products should be given, whom what to produce, how to produce, whom to produce, for whom I should produce the product, who is my market. But a private entity is not going to be like that. If you take a Rolex company, a Rolls-Royce organization, it's a premier product until your lifetime brand. And when you are purchasing that particular brand, you need to target the people who are paying income taxes. When you are selling Rolls-Royce, you see people who are paying income taxes completely. People who are getting income taxes, paying income taxes completely, they get the Rolls-Royce. And Rolls-Royce is given for 99 years of their lifetime. They can break the Rolls-Royce, they can hit the Rolls-Royce on a maybe on a what is a tree or something, but still they can get the Rolls-Royce out of the company. The reason, if you are validly requesting the insurance, they will claim you. So what Rolls-Royce says that it's a premium product, but when consumers on the market, when the individuals on the market economy institutions, they are targeting to the people who are rich, they are going with the income category. So based on the income, based on the gender, based on the height, based on the weight, based on the favorism, is considered under market economy. But a command economy doesn't see who is high, who has money, who doesn't have money. Everything is common. Someone who is rich comes to the hospital, they treat the same way. Someone who comes poor to the hospital, they treat the same way. Because fairness should always be there. That is the part of command economy's main intention of providing a service to the economy. But in a mixed economy, you can see both. Like they might, they might be serving in money basis. Also, they might be serving on not money basis. You might see in Sri Lanka, private hospitals are there, like the government. Though government gives free, our people needs to go to private to get it function. They think that government is slow, super slow. Government will not do the work, but this is not correct, guys. The reason world best doctors are in our country, and those doctors are working in our government, and those doctors are the people who are coming to the private institution. So you should believe our government. Though it may take time, but it's still saving a lot of pennies for you. So to believe. My grandfather was admitted in the hospital in Maharagama. Though he was admitted in certain private sectors, they couldn't give the medicine what he was affordable. So then he was transferred to Maharagama. He lived around 6 to 7 years after that surgery because he was a cancer patient. So only that medicine was available in government. Certain things only government can do, like the public service, like the defense system, like the road street lights can be only done by the government, not the private sector. So then we move on. I have given a small way of showing how market economy works. What to produce determined by consumers' preference. How to produce determined by producers seeking profits. Most of the time, capital intensive or labor intensive, as I said. For whom to produce determined by purchasing power. Who has the money to purchase, for them we sell the product. That's how market economy is all about. So mixed economy says that what to produce determined partly by consumer preferences and partly by the government. How to produce determined partly by producers seeking profits and partly by government. For whom to produce determined partly purchasing power and partly by government preference. So they will consider in mixed economy every decision you take, government will always be there, and seeing how much society is going to get is their main intention. And when we move on to the next part of the content, we have command economy. You see, command economy, it says that what to produce, how to produce, whom to produce. So what to produce is determined by the government preferences, how to produce determined by the government and their employees, and for whom to produce, it is determined by the government preferences. Again, as I explained you might understand the things what I have explained you is the same thing which I have given in a shorter way. So you can refer it whenever you want. It will be very useful for you in future. Then we have the next part. How do you find out which economy belongs to which with the level of choices? If the consumers can take a decision on the market, then of course that choice is a part of whom? It's a part of market economy. And if government is taking a choice, it's a part of command economy. So you can see with the choice whatever economy it belongs. Quality and innovation, most of the time you can see it in market economy. In command economy, it's very slow to adopt certain qualities and innovation. Efficiency says that how much reduction in wastage. Some economies, market economies will exploit the resources. So where the government will involve and say, hey, market economy, we can do the country in a proper manner, give those sectors to us. So they will grab the privatization from them and they will make nationalization. What is nationalization? Taking the private sectors under them and controlling under the government. That can happen if efficiency doesn't go in the way, or if government doesn't do properly. Private sectors can come forward and say, you are not building roads, we'll build roads, you give the system to us and we'll go administration. You take Sri Lankan water board is regulated by government, but actually it is run by the private sectors. Many people think that it is run by the government. The water electricity board and water board is funded by the government, but controlled by the private sectors. Many people doesn't know. For your knowledge, I'm just sharing. So economic growth is what you might see that how this economy can actually drive the production. If you produce more in a command economy, your production is this, but in a market economy, your production is very high. So more you produce, the more you are moving towards the economic growth. And in the economic growth, as we are taking the GDP gross domestic products amounts, and we are seeing economic growth. When we speak about economic development, you will be learning in future. You don't see only economic growth. You see economic growth as a quantitative factor. You will be learning something called qualitative factor. There only you will be learning something called human development index, HDI, and happiness index, which you will be learning in future. Distribution of income and wealth, how the money is distributed from the poor to the consumers. From the rich to the poor is decided by the government. most of the time. They go with these three type of taxes which you will be learning in future: progressive, regressive, and proportionate. I'll be teaching you how that happens through the charts. Risk, how much risk they are able to take, what risk they are able to bear, is also deciding whatever economy they belong to. Political freedom to take decision. How much freedom they have to decide what type of product should be produced on the economy is a part of market economies.